This is The Download from Sounds Profitable, your daily source for the essential news in the business of podcasting. I'm Gavin Gaddis. Here's what you need to know for today, Thursday, October 23rd. For our top story, YouTube sponsorships are up 54% year over year. We know because we launched a tool to track them. Intelligence platform Gospel Stats, powered by the team behind TubeFilter and the Streaming Awards, has published an inaugural report called the YouTube Sponsorship Landscape. The report tracks sponsorships across tens of millions of YouTube channels, tracking revenue that isn't usually counted as official ad revenue by Google. According to their data, 65,759 sponsored videos were uploaded in H1 of this year, representing a 54% year-over-year increase. Viewership for sponsored videos has also grown 28% year-over-year. A good chunk of this growth in sponsored YouTubing is driven by the middle class of uploader, those with over 100,000 subscribers and less than 500,000. Next up, BBC Sound's Q3 2025 report. The Q3 report from the BBC audio app BBC Sounds looks at the audience and finds total plays in the UK have increased 8.5% year over year, from 622 million to 675 million. Average weekly audience reached 5.1 million users across all of BBC Audio, which includes visualized podcasts. It hits a peak of 5.4 million weekly users in late August. Next up, State of Audio, the creator effect. It's just data all around today. Odyssey has a new State of Audio report, this one focusing on the impact creators have with audiences. Trust and parasocial relationships remain a valuable currency with respondents, as the Odyssey Power of Influencer study from earlier this year found 69% of respondents value radio for local hosts who share local experiences, and 49% of those respondents feel happy to support products recommended by their local radio and podcast hosts. Furthermore, 44% of respondents to Odyssey's music and talent study feel a stronger connection to a brand when they hear it endorsed by their favorite audio creator. Next up, Sci-Fi Podcast gets promotion in the cinema. Solar, a star-studded audio fiction podcast with names like Helen Hunt, Alan Cumming, and Stephanie Beatrice, ran an advertising campaign in Maya Cinemas locations that included 2 trailers in the standard pre-show before every movie screening, as well as ephemera in the lobby. While podcast live shows have been promoted in theaters before, I know I'm acutely aware that Fathom Events ran a live show for Critical Role characters getting married, because it was all I saw all summer. This Solar campaign shows how a podcast can go a step beyond simply airing an ad in the same block as local car washes and movie trivia in the pre-show. Having QR codes and posters in the lobbies generates curiosity for both people walking in to see their movie and capitalizes on the fear of missing out generated by the Solar trailers themselves, as there were probably quite a few audience members who didn't get their phone out in time or simply already had it turned off for the movie. But they can now get that QR code in the lobby on their way out. And finally, just because I didn't give you enough research, e-commerce sites see low sales from ChatGPT traffic, new study finds. Writer Allison Smith takes a look at a new working paper from researchers at the University of Hamburg and the Frankfurt School of Finance and Management. The paper finds that referral traffic to e-commerce sites directed from ChatGPT converts worse than old-school marketing channels like Google Search, email, and affiliate marketing. The paper looked at 12 months of first-party data from 973 e-commerce sites, which totaled to about $20 billion USD in annual revenue. For comparison, ChatGPT referrals landed about 50,000 transactions, while traditional channels secured 164 million sales. The abstract says the results of the research contradict widespread expectations of LLM referrals being a magic bullet for marketers. Even with LLM referrals steadily growing over the 12-month period of the study, the researchers estimate it still won't reach parity with organic search referrals by 2026 ending. So, if you were sweating about the idea of your podcast potentially being left behind with subscriptions on the table, because you weren't being scraped and recommended by ChatGPT, that might not be as much of a thing to be stressed about. As for the rest of the news, on Thursday, November 13th in Brooklyn, author Amanda Cupido, Let's Talk Podcasting, Mia Lobel, executive producer, Slate Podcast, and moderator Gemma Rose Brown, Signal Awards, gather together to host a conversation about partnerships and creative approaches to the modern podcast market. Registration for this event is free. Space is limited. Get in on it now. No Mono has launched an automated transcription service for their Studio Cloud suite that can be exported as an SRT file or a text file for your various text-based needs. Amaze Media Labs has announced the launch of a new feature on their podcast growth platform, AudienceLift.com, Publisher Data Transparency. The new feature shows podcasters a detailed list of digital publishers where their podcast trailers are advertised. The Boston Globe's head of audio, Kristen Nelson, was on Podcast Perspectives this week to discuss integrating audio into the newsroom. Fairing co-founder Matt Baer celebrates Fairing audience-facing questions having been viewed almost 1 billion times. That's a big number. This week, Mac Voices celebrates its 20th anniversary, another big number, along with Backbeat Media having been part of the journey for the majority of the ride. Congratulations to all involved, by the way. And finally, Audio UK and the PIA have joined forces to launch the International Podcast Alliance, a transnational platform for bringing together organizations representing podcast and audio producers, as well as businesses and publishers on a global scale. That'll do it for today's episode. As usual, you can find a link to every single thing I talked about just now by clicking on the link in your show notes. If you want to go there manually or grab any download episode ever, you can go to soundsprofitable.com and find the download dropdown to head over there. You can also subscribe to the newsletter version to get an email with all the links every single day. The download is written and produced by myself, Brian Berletta, and Tom Webster. For Sounds Profitable, I'm Gavin Gaddis, and I'll see you tomorrow morning for the download recap.